Oh. 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 Some years ago, in the happiness series, I'd shared an activity does not cause one to be joyous. Rather, it is absorption that causes one to be joyous. The more involved you are, the more you enjoy that. That is the theme of verse 19. I'm revisiting this again and again and again because the visualization is that beautiful, impactful. Our antakarana, memory, mind, intellect, ego. It is the candidness of the memory. Candidness means honesty. When one thinks of their life, they've tried to achieve so much, but what has not come with that is joy. That candidness of the memory is like entering. Entering what? We shift to the mind. It is the clarity of the mind that joy is not beyond myself, that one enters a room. This is all in reference to verse 19. Next, the intellect. The conviction of the intellect. The conviction of the intellect that joy is not beyond me, but joy is me. That is the windlessness of this room. You've entered a room that is windless. And the final part of our antakarana, our inner world, the ego. The confidence of the ego that I am not the ego. I am the spirit. Aham Brahmasmi. That is the lamp. A lamp that does not flicker. To have this solid feeling. The teaching being absorption. In verse 20, this continues. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Taking the whole first line. When one is serving yoga, that means they're contemplating. Then, this contemplation has been backed by understanding what contemplation is. So their mind is absorbed. If one's mind is absorbed, mind, their whole inner world, is absorbed in the effect. The effect means that which is finite. If it's finite, it is dependent. All that is finite depends on another finite entity, which means it will be temporary. if you are contemplating on an effect, whatever your experience will be, it will be temporary. And this is frustrating because you have this projection that this will last, but it doesn't. And so being taught contemplation in the wrong way can be a significant source of dejection, because one feels that I'm contemplating, but there's no completion. Sri Ramana describes this as jada samadhi. One gets absorbed in their breathing. But what happens when you stop being absorbed in your breathing? You're the exact same person. One has never changed. One has never shifted to that which is beyond the breath. And so, Sri Krishna shares in the second line, Yatra chevatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. The absorption of the antakarana, specifically the ego, is not in the effect, but in the cause. The cause here, Atma, self, spirit, and so on. This absorption is where one evolves from contemplation to meditation. These verses are describing one who has reached meditation. It is not a verb anymore. It is a noun. Contemplation still involves change and effort. Meditation is natural. Meditation is that which is lasting. This is called not jada samadhi, but nirvikalpa samadhi. An absorption that is never compromised. The ego has to see the spirit. In our Upanishad, a lovely seeker, her name is Devi Maitri. She asks a lovely guide, Rishi Yajnavalkya, how can I be happy like you? And he begins sharing, Atma va are drashtavya. The way to be happy is to see the Atma. What are we doing together? The context is Bhagavad Gita. The content is the Upanishad. Continuing. What does it feel like to complete contemplation? I'm going to share with you, but I want you to be very clear that what we're engaged in is Vedic dhyana. Vedic, which means this contemplation is for Brahma. That means infinity, independence. There is no other reason for this contemplation. I also want you to be very clear. Contemplation is only one step, one practice. All else is only because we're oriented towards that we give steps and practices to get us to contemplation, such as relaxing the body, not contemplation. Enjoying breathing, not contemplation. Chanting with the mind, not contemplation. We're all oriented towards that. So we're using that orientation to let that go. The one step, the one practice in contemplation is changing your identity from the ego to the spirit. All else, you can call it preparation, orientation. Are we very clear about this? And the framework we've been flowing through, space. That's the first part. Your space is clean, simple, inspiring. A related conditioning, you're contemplating at the same time with the same importance every day. Coming closer, seat. Your seat is firm and comfortable. Associated with your seat is your shrine. What your eyes are looking at. They're looking at the Atma. Who is your Atma? Your personal guide, your personal God. You see them with your eyes open, then you see them with your eyes closed. Coming closer, space, seat, senses. One's body is firm. Can I see your firm body? And comfortable. See, as soon as I said it, everyone went like this. Firm and comfortable. And our breathing is natural. During contemplation, please do not get stuck on pranayama. That's jada samadhi. You will not change. And coming even more closely, sentiment. The mind is balanced. It does not matter what's going to happen at 8:30 today. Even as I'm saying it, your mind has become imbalanced, correct? Oh, it's Monday. I have to drive here, do this. And the intellect is free. A seeker in our community, she's here now. Yesterday, I'd asked, how have you become more objective through Srimad Bhagavatam? And she had shared that I'm becoming more objective by not identifying with being a vegetarian, not identifying with being a woman, not identifying with being a Tamilian. And that's the practice, because if you identify with that, what are you going to contemplate on? Tamil Nadu. Free. That all leads to the one step, the one practice in contemplation, surrender. Surrender the ego. Verse 21. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam titas chalati tatvataha. Very powerful verse. Sukham, joy. Atyantikam, a joy that has no end, no condition, yet that. If one is experiencing this. And how did they do it? Buddhi grahya. The trained intellect has tasted this. Atindriyam, not the body, breath, mind. It is beyond all of that. The intellect being the most powerful, subtle equipment. That's why this is highlighted. Sharing the implication of the first line. Our wrong thinking. What is wrong thinking? That you can create joy. Has been corrected through right thinking. You cannot create joy. You can only be joy. buddhi grahya, the intellect that tastes this. It is the intellect that knows its nature is vastness. The knowledge is the important part. Not being absorbed into the effect, but into the cause. Knowing vastness, the sukham atyantikam, that my nature is joy. Veti yatra nachaivayam, having become one's nature, not even minutely. What? Stitaha chalati tatvataha, does one move from this nature. One is this nature, period. No more movement, no more effort, no more contemplation. That's what these verses are highlighting. You do not need to contemplate anymore. There's no identity to change. One is being what they've wanted to be their entire lifetime. That is incredible. One visualization before we transition to contemplation. In the movie The Matrix, in the first movie, one of the last scenes, Neo, who is the seeker, realizes he is the one. As in, he is the spirit. And when he looks out at other people, the walls, his own hands he's looking at, all of it is code that is streaming down that screen. The people, the walls, his own body, it is all the same. The matrix is synonymous with Maya. Maya, this sense of separation. But when one knows and is established in that knowing, the code is symbolic with existence or sat. When you realize your nature and you look out at the world, you will still see trees. You'll still see your family, but you'll have the vision that they are you and you are them. Prince Arjuna is struggling with moha. He thinks he's different. Acharya Bhishma is different. The Pandavas are different, etc. Soon, he will feel no moha. That externally they are different, internally they are not. Externally, your fingers are different, yes? Internally, you feel they are not. And I'm specifically highlighting this because the next verse is such an amazing verse about the utility of contemplation in this path. It is the long-term solution to the world's problems. So be ready for this. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be grateful. Relax the body. Enjoy breathing. Chant with the mind. Chant Om Ramaya Namaha, or I am joy. I am joy. I am joy. If the mind is distracted, no need to be disappointed. This will only create further distractions. Instead, accept the mind was distracted and redirect the mind to chanting Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. as you continue to be absorbed in chanting, notice, observe how none of your attention is going to the lifestyle. What your room looks like, who you're going to see next. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. Notice you're giving no attention to the body, how the hair is falling, the shape of the legs. The body is just hung in firmness and comfort. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. Notice how the breathing has become natural. No controlling, no categorizing. As if you're not breathing. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. And the thoughts, the frantic thoughts, the sentence that goes on and on and on. All of this has become quiet, for you are thinking. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. Thinking is conscious, deliberate, directed. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. Whatever wrong notion you have that you are not a contemplator, that you cannot contemplate, feel how this is being corrected. How you are developing the right thinking, that you are a contemplator. You are orienting yourself for contemplation. You are continuing to disidentify from the shallow with the trajectory to identify with vastness. Om Ramaya Namaha. I am joy. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.